Okay, it seems like everyone is good to go, so we're going to go ahead and jump right in. Now, a couple of things about Central Reach and specifically the scheduling module. We are a schedule-centric system, and what that means is that when you're using the scheduling module within CR, in addition to being able to manage all of your appointments, everything that is happening within your organization, all of those schedules can also flow into all of your clinical documentation, timesheets, and also billing. So the idea is once it's on the schedule and once that appointment has been rendered or converted, it immediately goes to all those other areas that it needs to streamline those processes as well. We're going to go ahead and follow the scheduling flow, if you will. And typically what happens is that starts with setting up those initial appointments. So once a client comes in and they're going to be receiving services, your first step typically is to set that client up with the providers and find a therapist who has availability to take on that new client or to schedule a makeup session, anything like that. The first tool I want to show you within the scheduling module for that initial scheduling or finding a match between your therapist and your clients is our Find a Provider. So you'll notice our scheduling module right here at the top of the screen. And when I click on that, I have quite a few different views. And these views, will touch on all of them. They're used at different points of the process and depending on someone's responsibility and role within your organization. So we're in Find a Provider right now, and the first thing that I'll do is set the criteria for my client on the left-hand side of this screen. So I would come in here and I would select the time of day that this appointment needs to occur within. Maybe it needs to be an afternoon session, happen sometime between noon and 5:30. I tell the system when it needs to occur. Then I let the system know how long I need a therapist available for. If it's a 2-hour ABA session, an hour speech appointment, whatever that may be. I can also select certain days of the week that I need this appointment to occur. I can find providers who have a specific skill set. So maybe I need someone who speaks a specific language or specializes in working with a certain age range. Once I've applied all those filters, I'm just going to go ahead and click that blue button. And now on my screen, what has happened is I'm left with a list of all of my therapists and others within the organization who can take that appointment. What I can do from here is I can identify the type of provider I need. So maybe this is a direct ABA appointment and I need to find someone with an RBT credential. You'll see my list went from about 20 providers down to three RBTs that would be available to take that appointment. For anyone who's providing home-based services, you can continue to go ahead and filter down. So maybe I need to find someone who's okay with going to homes where there's animals or dogs, and we've identified those. Or maybe I need someone who can work with more intense behaviors, and we're using that to identify certain providers. I can also come in and enter a zip code. So if this client lives in Rocky River, Ohio, and we have people who are traveling to community-based sites for therapy, I can go ahead and drop in my zip code, and now you'll see the system filter down to the 2 staff that live closest to that client so that we can minimize that travel time and that drive time between appointments. So that's the first tool that I wanted to show you for setting up initial appointments. The My Calendar tool is also incredibly useful at different points in the process. However, I can also come here and I can do more of a one-to-one matchup. So you'll see I have Lev's calendar on the screen. It defaults to this week view. It shows me all of his appointments. I also have Lev's availability stored in the system. That's what I have in this green shade, is when he has said that he's available to take appointments with clients. From here, I can also pull up an individual client schedule and overlay that with this therapist. So I grabbed Angelina's calendar, and now I have her availability stored in the system as well. It's pulling in this yellow shade. And I also have this dark green hue. That's telling me that the therapist and the client are both available on those days and at those times, and I can go ahead and schedule that initial appointment. All appointments, when they're initially scheduled, are tied to auths, and authorizations are specific to the provider. So if you're a multidisciplinary clinic and you have clients who have speech authorizations and codes for the BCBA for supervision and also for direct ABA therapy with an RBT, when an appointment is set up in the system, you will only see the authorizations that are applicable depending on the type of provider that you are scheduling for. Another key thing with the calendar, everything's here and you have complete control over what each user in your organization can see and do when they come to the scheduling module. So if you want to allow certain clinicians or all providers to schedule for themselves, or if that needs to be streamlined through a centralized scheduler, you can absolutely control that by the permissions that you give either groups of people or specific individuals. Now, the next question and the next flow that I want to look at is, what does this look like from the staff view? And most staff, whenever they log into Central Reach, if they're looking at their calendar, they're going to come right here to My Calendar. And again, it's that same view. It defaults to a week. It shows them what they have going on this week. They can also toggle to see their entire month. They can look at just one day. Another nice feature is if they wanted to take a look at where their team is, or maybe they wanted to see where all of the RBTs are this week and where others are seeing a shared client or anything like that, there's a planner view in here. And when I click on the planner view, it drops all of the providers down the left-hand side and it shows me where everybody is this week. Another nice feature, if I am a staff member and I am looking at my calendar, is that I can always print this. It can also sync to my personal calendar. So especially for those part-time folks, or if you have RBTs who are just working a couple of days a week, or really any type of provider, their Central Reach calendar can sync down onto a iCal, Google Calendar, or Outlook. And that way, those appointments, it's all HIPAA secure and compliant, and it doesn't give any PHI or details, but they can see and know when they have appointments scheduled with their clients. The calendar is available offline as well. So if you do have therapists who are traveling and they're going between appointments and they may not always have an internet connection, they can see the appointments that are on their schedule through the app. So they do have that visibility and that functionality as well. So we went through setting up appointments, matching providers to clients to schedule those initial appointments, how staff view their schedules, and now there's another key component, and that's managing just the day-to-day operations. How do we keep visibility on where everybody is at, monitor cancellations, shift things around, because there's always providers who call out and nothing ever stays as planned. And that's where the day planner really comes in this whole workflow and making sure that it's efficient as possible. So when I click on the day planner, I'm going to pull up a group, and that group can be a group of clients. So if I have a clinic and I have certain clients coming to the clinic or center on certain days, you can look to make sure that all of your clients have coverage for the entire time they're there with you. I can also pull up a group or even multiple groups. A lot of our organizations will have an all staff so that they can see all of the different providers and what they have going on a day-to-day basis. You'll notice it does break the day down into 15-minute increments. I have this grid view. It shows me today and it always defaults to today, but I can also jump ahead in time or go back to audit what's happened previously on specific days. Now, on all of the calendars, to update times and days, I can always drag and drop appointments. So I can go ahead and just shift things around. A key functionality here on the planner view is that I can also shift appointments from one provider to the next. So if Ogden called out today and Mary's going to cover this morning session with Hermione, I can just go ahead and drag and drop that appointment up to Mary. I can give a reason. So logged in was sick, and save that change. Something that's really nice with the drag and drop methodology of moving appointments, and I accidentally changed the time on that as well, so you'll see it show up over here, is that if I do reassign an appointment and the staff isn't right there, they can opt into notifications to know when a new appointment has been added, something's been modified, or there's been a cancellation to an appointment. Clients can also opt into that. They can receive those via email. And again, it's anytime a new appointment is added to their schedule, something changes, so either the provider or the day or the time on an existing appointment, or if there's a cancellation. I can code cancellations right from any screen. I just click on the appointment and I say that I want to cancel that event, and then I tell the system why I need to cancel. Now, there are custom cancellation codes, so our clients in certain areas don't always need to worry about inclement weather, and in others that can be a major reason for cancellations that come either from the client or the provider. So you can set up those codes and track your cancellations in whatever way makes most sense for your agency to know why those are occurring. Right, so that's the day-to-day planner view, very often used by admin or someone who is managing the schedule, maybe a supervisor who's managing a team of technicians, so that I can see exactly what's going on. The next view I want to show you is our view as grid. And the view as grid, what this screen does is it's very much an administrative view to run audits and see what's happening. And it takes all of the appointments on the schedule and it populates them onto this on-screen spreadsheet that we have here. And I didn't mention, but you can absolutely track billable and then also non-billable appointments. If you're looking at Central Reach specifically to streamline and make the workflow more efficient from an appointment occurs to it actually going to billing and timesheets, non-billable codes will go to payroll information, but they will not be sent to billing, whereas billable codes obviously go to both payroll and then also to billing to be sent as a claim or included on an invoice. So here on my scheduling grid, I can see everything that's going on. And on all of these on-screen reports within Central Reach, we have them for scheduling, billing, authorizations, contacts. You can always come in and filter down by specific information. So anything that's blue is telling me you can take this and you can look specifically at that day, at this provider, at appointments with this client. I can also use these filters on the left-hand side, and there's quite a few different audits that can be run within here. Some really common ones are to come in and audit for those cancellations. So why are we seeing canceled appointments? What's occurring most often? Do we have a client who's canceling very frequently, or the same thing on the provider side? And so I can come in here and I can click client cancellations, and right there, I pull a list of exactly the providers that were canceled, the clients who had canceled appointments, and you can always historically go back and look at that information. You can also track attendance in the system. I didn't mention that, but if you are a school or you're running a school program, attendance can be recorded and tracked within Central Reach for any clients or students who are participating in that program. Another really nice tool here on the View as Grid screen, our auditing screen of the schedule, is the ability to run forecasting. So if I wanted to look at what is next month going to look like as far as our billable appointments, are we seeing an uptick in appointments scheduled with RBTs? Are we looking at a decrease? It's valuable information to know for making smart business decisions. And so I can come in here and let's just say I wanted to take a look at June and what we have going on throughout the month of June as of right now. What I see on the screen are all of my appointments. So then really what I want to look at are just my billables. I'm not worried about those non-billable appointments. I just want to see all of my appointments that are going to generate revenue for the organization. And what's really nice is from here, I can even look at it by specific types of services. So if I just wanted to see what my RBTs are going to be working, I generally know what we make on an hour by hour basis when RBTs are providing service. I can come and apply that filter and use this handy little stats button. So you may have noticed I clicked on stats, and now on the left-hand side of the screen, it's giving me totals for all of these appointments. So I can really quickly see that so far for the month of June, I have 132 approximately billable hours that are going to be direct therapy with an RBT. And I can do the same thing if I wanted to look at my BCBAs and what we can expect to bill for BCBA hours. It gives you a lot of insight into what's happening within your schedule, again, so that you can be informed and make those smart business decisions for your organization, or even hiring decisions, things around client care, what needs to happen. All of that is much more visible whenever you're using this view as grid. One other report I want to show you, because I am a clinician and I know the struggles with making sure that you're hitting that 5% supervision time. I have absolutely had my logs that were created in Excel and tracked all of that time so that I knew that I was hitting those requirements from the BACB or the insurance companies. Actually lives in our reporting module. So I've navigated away from scheduling and I've come over to a module that lives within Central Reach that's called reporting. And within reporting, there's quite a few different audits and reports that can be run in addition to the reports that just live throughout Central Reach. And a key one for scheduling is the supervision report. So when I come into the supervision report, I can set a date range. So let's just say I wanted to look at the month of May. And I can look at all of my direct therapy appointments and compare them to my supervision appointments. So I am looking at all of my staff who need to receive supervision and comparing the time that they're spending directly with clients to the time that they have supervision with a BCBA. And from here, I can expand out to look at the specific client. So I have Albus and his time, and then I can use that plus sign to see the specific clients that Albus is working with. So Lev here, for example, he has worked 6.5 hours, and then I can open that up to see what was done with Hermione and what was done with Angelina. Worked gives me a real-time look at what we've done and where we're at with supervision. Scheduled gives me a view of what is projected for this month. So what can we expect to do by the end of this time frame that I've set up here? So I can see that we have about 42, 43 hours scheduled with Hermione. Currently, 0 of those hours have been worked. And right now, we have 0 hours sitting on the schedule to be worked for supervision. So I know that right here, I need to get on and schedule some time with a BCBA with Lev and Hermione to make sure that I bump that up and get to that 5% requirement. Whereas Albus here, he is right on track. So we have not too much worked right now, but based on what's been scheduled out, he's going to very much exceed that requirement that we see on the supervision side of things. All right, so just as a recap, the scheduling module in Central Reach really is a one-stop shop for scheduling. The idea is that everything lives here, everything's tied to an authorization for your client, which in turn gives you that streamlined and efficient flow from things that are sitting on the schedule to then once that appointment has been completed, let's send over our clinical documentation as a file, and let's send the information to timesheets for payroll and to billing so that we can get paid for that date of service. Different views for different people in your organization is a key within Central Reach. You can control that just by the permissions that you give, but then also within the scheduling module, it's really truly created so that depending on what I need to do, I can work most efficiently. Find a provider to really quickly sift through all of my therapists that I have and match them up to a client, or using the My Calendar view for that one-to-one. If I have a therapist in mind, I know who I want, and I just want to see when I can get that client in with the therapist, this view is really handy for that. This is also the main view that most providers see when they log into the system. Typically, it's just their calendar, but then again, you can control if they can view other people's calendars, view and edit what they have access to, what they do not. They can change their view here. They can also sync this calendar down to their personal calendar, especially handy for those providers who may not be working a full-time or a standard schedule, so that they can have that at their disposal when they need it. Then we have the day planner to help us managing day-to-day ops. Once those appointments are created, typically they're recurring, I can come in here, I can see what's going on, I can shift appointments around, update times, code cancellations. And the key here is really that this gives someone the visibility to see where everybody's at, and that really handy tool of just shifting appointments between providers without having to open it up and actually make that change. We do have those built-in notifications that go via email to providers and then also to clients. They can opt in to receive those for any new appointment, change to an appointment, or cancellation that occurs. And then last but certainly not least, that view is grid. So this grid view for your admin to come in and be able to run all of those audits, see what cancellations are have, on the billing side as well, I didn't mention, but tracking to make sure that staff have signed off on all of the billable appointments before a batch of claims is generated. Auditing for overlapping appointments of supervisors and therapists if you cannot bill out for both of those services when a tech and a supervisor are both present. So a lot of really nice audits in here. Forecasting can be done in here just to give you an idea of what's happening, how many appointments you have. It essentially does the math for you around those high level metrics about the calendar. And that, in a nutshell, is the scheduling module within Central Reach. A little bit of information, if you've been going through the sales process, you'll know that our model is an a la carte model. We switched about a year ago, and what it allows is for our clients to subscribe to exactly what they need. So based on your organization, what your pain points are, what you're really looking for a solution for, Central Reach is extremely comprehensive, but we can get you set up with a package that makes sense for you. Scheduling is just included in our core practice management. So when we talk about getting you set up with the basics, that does include the scheduling module, all of the features that we went over today. It also includes contact and contact management, managing all of your authorizations, and then also some basic billing, so some basic invoicing and generating paper claims. So that's where the scheduling fits within. It's called our core practice management. Again, that's kind of the starting point for most of our organizations. And so wrapped up within that package, you'll have access to all of the tools that I covered today. Again, if you're a current client, I hope that you found some of this little review helpful. If you did stick around, please contact your customer success lead with any questions that you have, or if you don't feel like your organization is maximizing any of these tools, they're always there to help to get a plan in place and make sure that you are using everything that's included in your subscription to work most efficiently and make that admin time as little as possible. For prospective clients, again, reach out to your account executive if you're already working with someone. If not, you can just go to www.centralreach.com and request either a demo if you'd like to see more about the Central Reach platform, or you can just request additional information right through there as well, and that will connect you to an appropriate account executive for your organization. We do also host open demos about the whole practice managed platform. Those generally happen on Tuesdays. You can sign up right through the website. We do that as well, the open demo forum for our clinical platform, so that you can get a look at those tools if you're looking for a solution around data collection, reporting, anything on that end on the clinical side of things. Those are typically on Thursdays. You can also sign up through the website. Well, that is all I have for everyone today. I am going to quickly just run up through some questions. There was a question about recurring appointments. Absolutely, yes, you can schedule recurring appointments. You can schedule those at any frequency that you need. So if it's just on one day or multiple days within a week, and then there are options to run it for a year, for 2 years, for 3 years. Also, the option to end it on a specific date. A lot of our clients will end those recurring appointments on the date that the authorization expires so that those are synced. And then once that new auth comes in, a new recurring appointment is set up. But yes, absolutely. And that's really because you can set up those recurring appointments, that's really where that drag and drop functionality becomes so handy. Because rather than having to go in and open that up and change the details, once that recurring appointment is there, I can go ahead and shift things around. And if it is a recurring appointment, it'll always ask me, do I want to change only this event or do I want to change all of the events within that series? So I can really just shift and update and drag and drop to change days and times and do that within that recurring series, but just make changes to that one appointment that I need to update. All right, well, that is all I have for everyone today. Again, my name was Nikki. I hope that you found this helpful. Very grateful for you giving me a half an hour of your time on this Friday. I hope that you all have a wonderful weekend and just get in touch and let us know how we can help from here. Thanks again, everybody. Take care.